Yep, good deal.
So 14 practices in, I guess. What do you like about the defense and your guys? And obviously, I know coaches are never satisfied. What would you like to see better?
Yeah, for sure. Couple things. One, buy-in from the group, I think, is incredible. I think from an attitude and effort and running to the football, fantastic. I think we've gotten better from a technique and fundamental standpoint, which that's one of the most important things that we do. I think we've gotten better from making second efforts a habit. That's an important coaching point for us. I think we've gotten tougher. That's been, our theme and our word. So all those things I'm really pleased about. And then from a schematic standpoint, I think we've grown every single practice. The spring is really you put in your foundation, but it's about, okay, who's making plays? Are we getting better at beating blocks, tackling, running to the football? That's really the big focus point from that. We've got a good amount of time to continue to work until, we're opening the season from that standpoint. And then, I think the biggest thing just to continue that theme. I'm not disappointed with anything, to be honest with you, from a standpoint of, hey, we got to get better at this specific thing. I think it's, okay, after you finish your 15 practice, you got a decent little amount of time before real football again, before we put the pads on from that standpoint. So I think the biggest focus point is continuing the momentum we've built, throughout the summer to get to that point.
Who are a few players that have really stood out to you so far this spring?
Yeah, absolutely. I think from a upfront standpoint, Andre Carter has really stepped up and done a really good job. It's a new face that's here. There's a veteran presence in the middle with Ace, and I think that he plays that way and commands the middle of the field from that standpoint. Then in the back end, Noah Pierre, you guys have seen obviously the production that he's had. I'm really pleased with that. And from a growth standpoint, Lewis Moore to me has really stepped up too. So he's another guy I would throw out there that I'm pleased with the progression. But overall, as a defense, that's a couple names that come to the top of my head from each level. But I'm pleased with the growth of the unit.
The defense lost a lot of experience last year at cornerback and safety. I know you weren't here last year, but kind of what's that process been like? Kind of figuring out with young guys, transfers, a couple of returners, and just figuring out kind of just what you have and replacing all that.
For sure. I think the first thing is learning, right? For me, learning the system that's in place here, learning what our guys do best, and then being able to teach that system with new guys, knowing that, hey, there's not hundreds of snaps under certain guys' belts. There's a lot of production that's not here. I wasn't here to really feel that from that standpoint. So to me, I probably don't. It doesn't weigh on me as much because I'm new with the guys that are new. So maybe that's a good thing from that standpoint compared to reflecting back on like, oh man, well this guy could do this or we could do that. From that standpoint. But I think that they, that they bought in. It's our job to keep it simple and play fast. With those guys and not make it overcomplicated to get young guys in the game from that standpoint.
Now that you've been at IU for a few months, what are just your impressions of being here? What do you enjoy about being in the program?
For sure. To me, it's about people. And this is a really special place, starting with Coach Allen all the way down. The culture here is awesome. I'll give you an example. We had some team building things, and one of those was talking about a highlight in our life. And in my group, I had 10 or 12 guys, and almost every single one of them talked about the highlight about their entire life being at IU. That's powerful when you say that, right? It's not, hey, I had this experience in high school. I had this family experience. Like, gosh, it's us together. So I've really been amazed with the people, and the place is really special. This is you guys know this. You guys have been covering, here for a while. This is a unique opportunity and a great conference with a great school and great people. It's got, the best of everything.
There been any guys that were maybe under the radar at the start of spring that you thought really stood out and kind of caught your attention that maybe you didn't anticipate at the start?
Yeah, I know I threw Lou's name out there. He'd be a guy that, you haven't seen play a lot. He'd be one name that I would throw out there from a standpoint of, okay, hey, he's not, like if I said Noah or Ace or a guy like that, you'd be like, oh yeah, I've seen that guy play. You know what I mean? I've seen those guys get, all Big Ten accolades and things like that, right? Lou would be the name that I would throw out from that standpoint that, has continued to trend in a positive direction.
What all do you like about Aaron Casey, just from?
Yeah. To me, he has athleticism to be able to play sideline to sideline. He has physicality to be able to play in the box. That's unique, right? There's a lot of backers that are, okay, do they have that athleticism to play or do they have the physicality to play? And then cerebrally, he can process too. So he has command in the middle of the defense. So to me, that's how we look at backers. Okay, do you have command? It's hard. You have to know exactly what the front's doing and exactly what the back end's doing. The D-line doesn't have to worry about that. The corners don't have to worry about it. The backers and safeties really are the ones that have to understand that. So he has command of that, and then he has athleticism to play in space, and then he's got physicality to be able to play in the box. So to me, if you could do those things at linebacker, you check all the boxes.
What's it been like working with Allen and Chad Willis.
It's been great. Like, I go back to the people, you know what I mean? Chad Will has been phenomenal, you know, to be able to build a relationship with him and with Coach Allen to be able to, you know, spend time. I've known him, but not obviously as much as when you work underneath him on the staff, you know what I mean? So I would say that all those guys, I mean, the entire staff, but especially the guys on defense that we spend, you know, an inordinate amount of hours with, they've been really special, you know what I mean? Welcoming me with open arms and then be able to, you know, build lifelong relationships. Been awesome.
What's been your impression of Jamir Johnson, one of the transfers coming in? Corner, just what do you like about him? What does he need to work on still?
He's had a really good spring too. He'd be another guy that I could name as far as, you know, continuing to take steps in the right direction. He's competitive, which to me is, if you ask me what's the first criteria a defensive back must have, is mentality and competitiveness, you know, and he has that. And then he does have length to be able to battle with big wide receivers, and he can run, you know what I mean? So he's not a bad matchup because he has those two things from that standpoint, you know. So he's done a really good job, you know, with those.
When you come into a new program, like what is just like the process of trying to learn about guys, learn their personalities? Like, do you have one-on-one meetings with them? How does that kind of go?
Yeah, it's all about spending time. It's like building any relationship, you know? It's like dating, getting to know somebody, right? So, okay, hey, I come in brand new, everybody's got a blank slate. Not only do I have to learn about them, they have to learn about me, right? So trust is a two-way street. So you spend time, you sit down one-on-one, tell me about your family. What's your process? What have you liked here? What could get better from here? You know what I mean? So you spend a bunch of time with those guys. And then, you know, it's built over time, right? It's, okay, they know who you are. Then they know that you're good at your job and you can help them get better, right? So they start to buy in even more and more and more, and they see the product on the field and believe from that standpoint. But yeah, to me, it's all about time. You know, it's building any relationship, whether it's your business, personal. You know, you're building relationships, you know, which I love. That's why we do this.
How much are you looking forward to getting out there on Saturday and being out in front of fans for the first time here?
Yeah, it's going to be great. I can't wait to, you know, see all the Indiana fans be able to show up and be able to go into our beautiful Memorial Stadium and spend time and, you know, put real football on display. It's going to be fun, you know. And I view game day as I'm behind the scenes operator and let the guys be able to go compete and play as hard as they possibly can, you know. So but I'm looking forward to that and be able to interact with fans for the first time. I think that's what makes college football unique, you know, is that type of interaction and time spent together. So I'm definitely looking forward to that.
All right, thanks, Matt.
Thanks, guys.